Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Curating Curious Curiosities. My name's Camel, and in this video today I will be curating to you the curious curiosities found in Skyrim's Hjaalmarch region. Hjaalmarch is located in northern Skyrim at the mouth of the Karth River. Morthal lies near the center of the hold, Morthal being the capital. The hold borders Henge, separated by the Karth River to the northwest, the Reach to the west, Whiterun to the south, and the Pale to the east. Much of the terrain is covered by wetlands, marshes, and swamps, which are infested with vampires. And for Hjaalmarch's first curiosity, we have the Karth River Henge, which can be found to the east of Dragon's Bridge, right where my character is located currently. Where here, amidst ancient ruins, we will find a mage, who has set up an alchemical laboratory here. However, we will also find the Supreme Sacrifice, a beautiful Nord woman in the middle of a circle built entirely of candles. Why this Nord beauty was sacrificed, or what this mage is up to, I cannot say, although because his woman is dead, and this guy's wearing a black robe, he looks very suspicious. Right on top of the alchemy lab, we can find the alchemy skill book, Manamako, King of Worms. And I think it is very likely he is trying to combine his wisdom in alchemy and the dark arts of necromancy to some ill end. I hope the sacrifices were worth it. For the next curiosity, we have the Riverside Bandit camp, which can also be found to the east of Dragon Bridge. And here we will find two bandits standing around, bludging, probably on benefits, looking like they're up to no good. As we can see, they have a roaring fire and a chest with all of their valuables. Next to the chest here, we can find the block skillbook Warrior. Bandits usually come in large numbers, but I think taking care of these two would be no problem at all, and would be a service to the realm. And next up, we have the ambushed Caravan. This can be found to the northeast of Chillwind Dpeths. And as we approach, we will discover an ambushed caravan. Perhaps it was the two bandits that performed this ill-doing. However, there are some other clues lying around that would advise us otherwise. As we can see, there are a large number of Falmer arrows on the ground and sticking out of the victims' bodies. This, of course, would imply that a group of Falmer ambushed this caravan. Nothing of interest can be found in this caravan, but it is a sickening truth that traveling the roads, you're not even safe from Falmer and their Smuggler-ish ways. For the next curiosity, we have the Adventurer's Campsite, which can be found just to the east of Chillwind Dpeths. Here we will find a rather tranquil and pleasing sight. Two tents and a boat, a nice little camp next to the river, down there at Threadbow. But it is quite strange that there are no inhabitants of this camp. However, if we look, there's food, there's weapons, there's crates, also the remains of a relatively recent fire. So where are the adventurers? On this sleeping roll out next to the fire, we can find the adventurer's journal, which reads as follows. There's something unsettling about these caravan attacks. I expected bandits, but the remains we saw were literally torn apart, rent limb from limb. Yet no mere animal could coordinate an attack on a full-sized merchant train, and wolves don't take prisoners. We found a trail leading up into the hills. We'll make camp here for the night, then set out at dawn. Whoever, whatever murdered these people, we'll make sure it never happens again. So that sounds jolly. I personally was not brave enough to travel up to Chillwind Dpeths and inspect for myself. If anyone watching this now has had the courage to discover the truths behind Chillwind Dpeths, please let me know. But for now, I'm walking the complete other direction. And for the next curiosity, we have the Swamp Pond Massacre, which can be found due north of the Apprentice Stone. And here, once again, we will find an abandoned campsite with the smoldering remains of a fire. However, there is a deeper and a grimmer side to this camp. As we can see here, these two chairs are covered with blood and bones. Someone or something came to this camp and literally shredded these two poor campers apart. These swamps are filled with vampires and various deadly creatures. It could have been anyone. Perhaps these campers ate Mentos and drank Coke. Or perhaps they just heard one of my jokes and exploded. Next to the sack in one of the makeshift shelters, we can find the restoration skill book, the Exodus. Butterflies, mushrooms, a beautiful view. Safety in numbers? I don't think so. And a restoration skill book. None of these could save them against the Swamp Pond Murderer. Next up we have the Smuggler's Alcove, which can be found just to the east of the East Empire Company warehouse. And here we will find an uninhabited smuggler's den. There isn't really anything of interest here. There are 2 sleeping rolls and some food sacks. Perhaps the smugglers took what they needed and ran, or perhaps it was ransacked. Who owns this smuggler's den, or who was once here, is also a mystery. And here on a crate underneath the ledge in the Smuggler's Alcove, we can find the Pickpocket Skill Book, Purloined Shadows. And I suppose a pickpocket skill book makes complete sense, with it being a smuggler's alcove. I suppose they picked enough pockets and now picked their time to leave. Next up we have the Mound of the Mudcrab, which can be found to the northwest of Morthal. And here we will find this semi-submerged ancient Dragar burial mound, which at a closer inspection we will see has been repopulated with mudcrabs. Who was buried here originally, I suppose we will never know. But it is nice to see nature reclaim. In the middle here in front of the tree we will also find a chest, a potion, and the lock-picking skill book, The Locked Room, just to give you a little boost in your lockpicking skill to open the chest, which contains leveled loot. Whoever was buried here, I now consider the Mudcrab King. Next up we have Mammoth Neck, which can be found directly to the east of Dead Man's Respite. And here we will find a mammoth that has been downed by a bear. However, so curious, how did a bear manage to bring down a mammoth? We can see blood on the stomach, although I do believe that blood is there from after death wounds. As in the bear had already killed it and then started eating all of the goodness found in the mammoth's stomach. Maybe we'll find another skeleton. But the answer lies right there on the mammoth's neck. It bit it straight on the neck and killed it. Quite a feat if you ask me, or should I say, quite a paw. And for the next curiosity, we have a view to die for, which can be found to the northwest of Brood Cavern. And here on this beautiful waterfall, we will find a single skull resting on the edge of the cliff, looking out over the landscape. Who this skull belonged to or how this skull got here, I have no idea. But was this a view to die for? I think not. And next we have the Shrine to Kynareth Bluffs. And here in this rather beautiful location, we will find a Shrine to Kynareth amongst the bluffs of the mountain. It is quite a lovely spot to place a shrine to Kynareth, or come and pray and leave offerings. As we can see, people have left several offerings, some flowers, a ring, a potion, some coins. But most curiously, there are 3 sets of shoes or boots that have been left. Why have people been coming to this shrine and leaving boots and shoes? It seems like a very strange thing to do. The one thing we can be certain of though is that everyone that left this shrine left soulless. And next up we have the collapsed burial ground, which can be found to the south of the abandoned shack. And here we will of course find a collapsed burial ground atop the hill. It is quite curious, however, that there are more than 5 ancient Nordic pillars here. Normally they come in 5 or less. But here we can see 7, and then of course to take into account the others that have also fallen down. Amongst the ruins we will find a burial urn and a chest with leveled loot. We will also find this buried or pinned Dragar that has been crushed against the ground from the falling ruins. And his friend, this necrotic butterfly. This Dragar is also carrying the sneak skill book Sacred Witness, which is extremely curious as we ever so rarely or seldom find an undead or a Dragar carrying a skill book. I personally have no idea why this would be, but for now I'm going to leave the burial ground, the Dragar and the butterfly to do as they please. And for the next curiosity, we have the Black Art Burial Ground, which can be found to the southeast of Morthal. And here we will find the burial ground, an ancient Nordic mound. And as ancient as it is, there are signs of recent living activity. If we come down the hallway, we will find a dead alchemist who is meant to be pinned to the table via a dagger, but the dagger has since slipped out of his chest. Also underneath the table, you will find the Staff of Revenants. And on a table on the inside, we will find the Illusion Skillbook, the Black Arts on Trial. What this mage was doing, or what the fate was that befell him, I cannot say, although because magic was involved, I would imagine it was relatively grim. And next up, we have the Bandit's Barrow, which can be found to the north of Stonehills. And here we will find this ancient Nordic structure, or these small ruins, and we will also find 2 bandits sat in front of a lantern. What these bandits are doing here, I'm not sure, but one of them looks very jolly, and the other one looks relatively unimpressed. Down in the burial tomb, we'll find a Draga with a shield, an axe, and a necklace laying on top of it. If killed, one of these bandits will be carrying a randomized skill book. These 2 bandits and their Fallout New Vegas shovel are probably up to no good, digging up ancient crypts like this. And for the next curiosity, we have the Conjuror's Caravan, which can be found to the west of Frostmere Crypt. And upon arrival, we will see a battle between bandits and a conjurer, and the bandits soon win. The bastards even killed the horse. These bandits will be immediately hostile towards you, or I, the Dragonborn, and must be taken care of. Interestingly, if we have a look in the back of the cart that the Conjuror was dragging, we will find a dead alchemist in the back. This makes me wonder if this was a friend, or if this Conjurer wanted to become a necromancer. We will also find a couple of potions, some alchemical ingredients, and 2 apothecary satchels in the back of this wagon. A very big question mark lying above this curiosity. And for the next curiosity, we have the Shipwrecked chest, which can be found to the south of Robber's Gorge. And here, we will find a chest that has found itself washed up on the banks of this small island in the middle of this river. This isn't any normal chest though, this is a boss loot chest, containing only the best items, although these items will be leveled. It's a very strange place for such an important or powerful and rare chest to be found. What's this chest doing here? And who owns the items within? Next up, we have the Sabre Cat's cart, which can be found to the south of Robber's Gorge. And here we will find a Sabre Cat standing next to a cart. This can only lead us to assume that someone was transporting something in this cart when they were ambushed by a Sabre Cat. However, there are no remnants or leftovers or evidence of anyone or anything being in this cart. So it is relatively unknown what happens here, or who or what once owned this cart. All we do know is that it should no longer be called a Sabre Cat, but a Sabre Cart. And next up we have the Butterfly Ruins, which can be found to the southeast of Chillwind Depths. And here, next to the river, we will find a very small yet tranquil ancient Nordic ruin. And as we can see, the butterflies have now made this their home and their playground. What this originally once represented or was once built for, I do not know and cannot say. But now it is just a peaceful and beautiful sight to be found out in the dangerous wilderness of Skyrim. Next up we have Torchbug Henge, which can be found to the northeast of the abandoned shack. And here we will find a single stone archway. But interestingly, there are no butterflies unlike all of the others. There are only torchbugs. This is very curious because the only flower here are nightshade. Perhaps the nightshade deter butterflies. Perhaps butterflies do not eat the pollen or nectar found in a nightshade. However, the torchbugs have found this to be a very lovely and suitable home for them. But I certainly would like to know why there are no butterflies here. And for the next curiosity, we have Sabre Hill, which can be found to the west of Robber's Gorge. And here we can see the scene of a slaughter, with two saber cats standing amongst this ancient Nordic ruin. There are blood and bones and remnants of what once were humans or humanoids. Fragments of what once was a living being, scattered everywhere. The worst scene, however, is down the bottom, with two dead corpses and various bloodied bone rib cages and skulls strewn about the ground as if it's just a casual saber cat quality. Here we can find a Nord woman lying face down in bloody dirt. There will be a necklace next to her and a helmet. Down the hill slightly, we will also find a third body. On the hunter, however, we will find the one-handed skill book, 2920 Morning Star Volume 1. Sadly, all the skill books in the world will not save you from two saber cats, or saber cards. I suppose there are no mysteries here, only a predator and its prey. This prey, however, is going to be staying well away from this location. And for the next curiosity, we have the Stones of Stendarr, which can be found to the southwest of Miko's shack. And here, amidst a rather thick and dense forest, we will find this very tall ancient ruin here. And standing in the middle, we will find a Vigilant of Stendarr. There are also various butterflies and flowers scattered around the place, which does make it quite a nice and peaceful sight. However, down in the ferns here, we will find a defeated Flame Atronach. This, of course, leads to the conclusion that this Vigilant of Stendarr beat down this foul Daedra, just as Vigilants of Stendarr are bid to do. However, what this Flame Atronach was doing here, or perhaps what this Vigilant of Stendarr was doing here, I cannot say. It is an odd location for either to be standing out in the middle of a forest in an ancient Nordic ruin. Next up, we have the Stairs to the Throne of Nature, which can be found to the east of Chillwind Depths. And here, once again, we will find a Nordic ruin that has since lost all human inhabitants and purpose. And we will also find some very wide stairs leading up the mountain, which just fades and leads vaguely up the mountain. There is nothing of interest up there, but perhaps that mountain is the Throne of Nature. As we see so often, flowers and butterflies have now taken residency in this dilapidated Nordic ruin. It is the perfect place for, say, a bard or anyone looking to relax to come and spend some time amongst nature and the rubble of an empire that once was. Although the question still stands, why are those stairs leading up the mountain like they are? And where did they once lead? And for the next curiosity, we have the Bones of Corundum, which can be found in a small gorge to the east of Broken Tower Redoubt. And here, up the top of this gorge or valley, we will find a Corundum vein. However, upon a closer inspection, we will find a pickaxe and a skeleton lying hidden, camouflaged amidst the Corundum patterns. It looks like this person picked the wrong spot to mine, if you ask me. It's interesting that the pickaxe is still here. It would imply that this person was killed while mining at this particular corundum or vein. How this happened, or the means or purpose behind this person's death, I truly have no idea. And for the next curiosity, we have the Ursus Summit, which can be found to the northwest of Dead Men's Respite. And here, at the summit of this mountain, we will find a bear and Ursa. Just relaxing, just a bear relaxing amongst the trees. However, is it ever that simple with a curiosity? No, it's not. If we come up the hill and look behind this slope down against this rock face, we will find bloodied bones, at least 2 rib cages. So at least 2 humans were slaughtered by this sick, disgusting bear. Or perhaps it was the humans that were sick and disgusting, and nature simply took its course. However, these two people did make one gracious last act, leaving a coin purse on the ground for me to take. There are no signs at all of who these two people were, or how they ended up atop such a remote mountain to be slaughtered by a bear. And for the last curious curiosity that Hjaalmarch's region has to offer us, we have Fell Red, which can be found west of Robber's Gorge. And if we head up this remote and narrow valley here, we will find a numerous amount of books that have just been spread all over the ground. We can also find a cart. This would imply that someone was moving this cart full of books and it fell. Perhaps these books fell off a rock shelf. I'm not certain, but this certainly does look like a series incident. When they saw the books falling, they should have paged for help. Imagine the amount of noise it made rolling down the hill. It would have had some volumes. Perhaps whoever was moving this cart of books fell under attack. In that case, they should have booked an escort. Whatever happened here, it is just another chapter in the Curating Curious Curiosities series. And there we have it, that concludes the Curating Curious Curiosities for Skyrim's Hjaalmarch region. I do hope that you thoroughly enjoyed this episode of Curating Curious Curiosities, and also that you learnt or found out something new. As you can see on screen, if you are interested in the curious curiosities of Skyrim's other regions and holds, feel free to make a choice and click on one of the links on screen, which of course will send you to that video. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like, it would help me out a lot. Don't forget to leave a comment with all of your crazy ideas, backstories, and explanations that shed some more light on these curious curiosities. Also, if you think you have found any curious curiosities in Skyrim's other regions, in Morrowind, Oblivion, Fallout New Vegas, or Fallout 3, please let me know in the comments as well. For the sooner I learn about them, the sooner I can cover them. If you have any friends that play Skyrim, don't forget to share this with them. And as always, if you did enjoy this video and you would like videos similar to this one, please subscribe. It helps me know that people are interested in this kind of stuff, and in the long run will result in more of these kind of videos. So once again, I would like to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. See you in a second.